So Pluto's going retrograde today, and whenever Pluto does change directions in the year, it's always a very significant moment because the energy of Pluto is really amplified. We feel it in the field, and we already have felt it since last weekend because there was, of course, the Scorpio full moon that already talks about bringing up and purging and processing old emotional layers of our bodies, where and how we had to suppress or deny parts of ourselves and shush them away into the shadow of our psyche. Pluto in Aquarius is still kind of a new thing because Pluto is only in Aquarius since 2 years, and Pluto in Aquarius relates so much to where and how our unique, individual, authentic nature wants to emerge. And it only does so by us also unearthing and processing and shedding, like that volcano laser beam Pluto energy that just purges and purifies whatever doesn't hold true to life anymore, to the evolution of our own heart and soul, is just purging or destroying, but thus also bringing up the shadows from the deep, the dragons, the monsters that we've been trying to run away from, that actually are very often just the guardians of all of these internal treasures that we might hold, right? The dragon doesn't do anything with the gold or the princess or the emerald, it's just keeping it. But the dragon is where and how, because of our own wounding or trauma or the places in us that felt rejected, bringing up the Aquarius shadow theme of alienation or exile, or feeling like an outcast, not belonging, not finding our group, not finding our peers, having felt like an alien in our own family of upbringing. Pluto going retrograde shows this process that normally manifests outwardly in our existence and circumstances and events in our life gets turned within. And it's about the inner undoing, the inner transmutation of where and how we must meet these shadow creatures within us and see that they've actually always just been the guardians of so much psycho-emotional treasure and gold that has also had to take a step back and be pushed into our shadow while we repressed also the more unwelcoming or dissociated, disowned parts of ourselves that in society often get shamed, right? Anger, rage, guilt, envy, whatever it might be, jealousy. So meeting them means we have to step within, which this Pluto retrograde talks about. It's the internalization. The retrograde pulls back. It pulls us back. It's like, oof, I need to do something internal that at first I thought I can just achieve by changing things in my outer world. This is, of course, heightened so much because this year we'll have this very, very, very prominent and important connection between Uranus and Pluto. Uranus has this co-rulership of Aquarius, this huge association to the sign of Aquarius and Aquarius energy. Uranus talks so much about liberation and freedom and authenticity, but also breaking the chain, breaking the curse, changing the system, which historically with Pluto in Aquarius we've also always seen. The US independence, the French Revolution, whole countries changing religions, right? Huge momentous shifts in the collective field that ultimately want to bring us greater freedom, but that often first have to struggle against the old status quo, whether we see that manifest in the world at large, governments and state boundaries or whatever, or internally, the old status quo, our old ego identities that are clinging to the shadow or the mask that has provided protection for us for so very long. Pluto will make its first exact trine to Uranus on July 18th. So whatever kind of begins right now, or maybe with the Scorpio full moon a couple of days ago, see where and how this will have a kind of peak moment or huge revelation or huge healing or coming undone in the middle of July. Uranus in Gemini, of course, shows us where and how our mind and changing the perspectives that we hold on life, the perspective and the stories we tell ourselves about our own selves, about our own life, about our own past and our own traumas and woundingness, right? These kinds of stories. How a change in this kind of attitude, how a change in our mind and thus nervous system will correspond to opening up portals of complete new realities that will open before us, which at first might have seemed impossible, but only because of our limited mindset. So anything that starts right now, pay attention, internal, external processes. It might feel a bit more internal right now, as a realization, wow, something has to change. I'm in a process of like undoing where and how I've been hiding, suppressing my own voice, right? Where and how we have internalized these guilt and shame and judgment kind of energies, and in that way also dissociated us from our own selves, which then reperpetuates this kind of vicious cycle of us feeling alienated or also victimized by life itself. But in truth, it's just something that we do to ourselves unconsciously, right? And where and how this process is beginning right now, the kind of themes you're seeing playing out in your life the last couple of days, pay attention to how this will relate to the middle of July, which is still a good 2 months from now, and what kind of first big peak or revelation or change will manifest because you do this inner work. You meet this inner dragon. So thank you for watching and hope this helped you. Bye-bye.